Is your use of generative AI helping you or is it taking over? Yes, tools like Claude and ChatGPT and Gemini and all the rest can be very helpful to the creative process. But if you aren't careful, they can become an addiction. And that's what I'm going to be talking about in today's episode of The Author Switch.
Are you an entrepreneur, small business owner, or consultant looking to boost your authority, influence, and impact? The Author Switch podcast with best-selling, award-winning author Carma Spence is your answer. Tune in for actionable advice, powerful strategies, and engaging interviews to turn on your author switch and take your business to the next dimension.
The Author Switch.
Hello, and welcome to the Author Switch podcast. I'm your host, Carma Spence, and I help executive coaches, business leaders, and consultants write, market, and publish their client attracting books so that they can grow their businesses. Now, AI is a fantastic tool, but beware, it can be addictive. Yes, I did say addictive. And that's what we're going to be talking about in this episode of The Author Switch. I'm going to be talking about AI addiction, how to recognize it, and how to knock it to the curb so that you're using AI in the way that best supports you mentally and in your business. So, first, I want to share a few statistics that kind of set the stage. There are approximately 60 million people worldwide estimated to have some form of gaming disorder. About 3 to 4% of video gamers worldwide have internet gaming disorder. Over 35% of people are estimated to have an internet addiction. Internet gaming disorder is closely linked to poor decision making, impulse control, and emotion regulation. And in the US, approximately 10% of social media users are estimated to be addicted to social media. Digital addiction is defined as the uncontrollable and compulsive use of digital tools and media, resulting in detrimental outcomes across multiple areas, facets of an individual's life. It can include various forms of addictive behavior related to technologies such as internet addiction, social media addiction, gaming addiction, smartphone addiction, streaming addiction, email addiction, and others. Digital addiction is characterized by an inability to control or limit the use of digital devices and platforms, leading to negative impact on your relationships, work, academic pursuits, and overall well-being. 45% of the surveyed US population is using generative AI. And that's what I'm going to be talking about today. If other forms of digital addiction are possible, then so is AI addiction. And so that we're all on the same page, I define AI addiction as an over-reliance on AI tools for tasks traditionally completed by the author, such as brainstorming, drafting, editing, all those things. I'm not saying you can't use AI for those things. It's the over-reliance where you start doubting your own ability or you just hand over everything to AI and don't use your brain at all. So, how is AI addiction like other addictions? First of all, and I'm sure you've experienced this, when you get a really good result out of AI, you get a dopamine hit. It makes you feel good. Most addictions have that dopamine hit happening. So, AI gives you quick solutions. Hey, I will admit that when I first started using AI, it was cool and it still gives me a thrill, but I have learned that it doesn't give me the results always that I really, really want. Now, while AI can provide shortcuts, it can't help you develop the core skills you need to be an effective business owner, author, writer. Basically, you want to use it as what I like to say is a brainstorming buddy, not the actual engine that runs your business. So that's one, dopamine hits. Escaping discomfort. That's another common thing in addictions. And AI addiction can do that too. You're feeling uncomfortable, so you go to AI and you play for a while. If you're doing this too often, you may have an addiction. Loss of self reliance. Over time, reliance on AI can weaken your own belief in yourself, and therefore you start not being able to do anything unless AI is helping you out. And that is a problem. There are similar habits of overuse, like other forms of addiction. AI dependency can become an automatic response rather than a deliberate choice. And that reduces your critical engagement with your own work. If you're just going knee jerk AI, you may have an addiction. And of course, it's all a slippery slope. It starts small and it gets bigger and bigger and bigger. Now, I will admit that when I first started using I probably suffered from some of these. It was a little bit addictive. I am just blessed not to have an addictive personality. I've had plenty of opportunity in my life to become addicted to things and I never have. Thank the Lord. But if you happen to have an addictive personality in general, watch out because this could become addictive as well. So here are some warning signs. If you're noticing these things, then you might be addicted to AI. One, an over reliance on AI for your work, especially when it comes to writer's block or a glitch in your author switch. If you're turning to AI for quick solutions every single time, rather than using what God gave you, your gray matter, your brain, then maybe you have a problem with AI. A loss of writing stamina. Ooh, this one's an interesting one. Regular use of AI could lead to a reduction in writing stamina, making it harder for you to produce quality work without assistance. That means if you normally could spend an hour just writing before AI, and now you find it hard to get through half an hour, you might have an AI addiction problem. Number three, style homogenization. When you're just out there writing, your writing's going to shift and change. And yes, there's going to be a through line because you're trying to maintain a brand, but you have different tones and different styles. And if your style and tone becomes really homogenized because you're repeatedly using AI tools, there's a risk of what's called style blending, where your unique quirks and character and your personal style get diluted, making your writing more generic. This is the problem with AI. Now, I don't have a problem with AI writing a caption for this or that, but I usually edit it. And frankly, I'm the one telling it what to write. I'm just saying, okay, I want it to be on this topic and it's this image, and then it just polishes ideas into posts that make sense for a platform. It's an assistant, not a crutch. You can experience a decrease in critical thinking and original research skills. I mean, Google's already done this to so many of us. It's like, gee, I need to know something. Google it. Go to Wikipedia. Go on IMDb. It's like now with generative AI, you can do it again. The problem is AI hallucinates and doesn't always give you the right information. For example, just before I recorded this episode, I was looking up Gary Lockwood. He is the first astronaut who gets killed kind of on screen, not really, in 2001: A Space Odyssey. And all the AIs told me were how Hal killed the other astronauts, not Gary Lockwood's character. Completely misinformation. I had to go and do my original research skills. Now, if I had gotten so dependent on AI answering my questions that I didn't know how to do my original research skills anymore, I would have been in a pickle. Not that that was critical information or anything, but you get my point. You get my point, right? All right. Another sign that you might have AI addiction is if you are unable to even start without an AI prompt. If you don't have way for AI to help you, you get stuck, this is a problem. And if you use AI suggestions as your default and don't add personal touches, that is a problem as well. So, why is over reliance on AI a danger to authors? One, you can lose your original voice. AI can just become your voice and you aren't you anymore. And the thing is, people hire you because you're you. They're hiring you for what you bring to the table, not your version of Claude, not your version of ChatGPT. They're hiring you. It can also have a bad impact on your audience influence because the more generic your content becomes, the less they'll think you're a thought leader, the less they'll find you an authority, the less they'll respect you. It can stunt your growth because an over reliance on AI can actually halt the development of your skill sets and it can make you lazy in your writing. You also run the risk of generic content. Yeah, too much. I mean, because AI is pulling from lots of stuff. And of course, other people are pulling from that stuff too. You need to add in you, your perspective. And if you over rely on AI, you're going to lose that. And then finally, a loss of trust and credibility because people will see that you're diving and delving and taking to new heights and all those delightful phrases. Now, I will admit that occasionally I actually use those phrases. I once I did you know how they have those, AI detectors? I put through content that I wrote 100%, AI didn't even touch it, and it told me it was written by AI, and I'm like, "Oh, great. I'm a robot." So, yeah, if you happen to be a person who delves into things, well, then I guess it's okay. I try not to delve into things, so I usually take delve out of my language. Although since using ChatGPT, I must admit that delve has become a part of my vocabulary way more than it used to be, which was none. And now every once in a while I find myself using it. Hmm, maybe that's a sign I have AI. All right, so let's move on. Right now, I have finished giving you a big picture of what AI addiction is and how it can harm your author based business. After the break, I'm going to be going a little bit further so that you can help yourself assess whether you have AI addiction or not, and then give you practical tips so that you can overcome it. Have you ever felt like you're standing at the edge of a vast, uncharted wilderness, knowing your book lies somewhere beyond the horizon, but not sure which path will lead you there? Hi, I'm Carma Spence, and I've navigated the complex terrain of being an author many times. I've learned that if you want to write an effective book, you need an outline or roadmap to guide you along the writing journey. That's why I've written All You Need Is the Right Roadmap. This book isn't about handing you a one-size-fits-all outline. It's about empowering you to chart your own course. Just as every explorer needs a map, every writer needs an outline. It's not just a list of topics. It's a living document that guides your journey from the first word to the last period. Inside, you'll discover the method of plotting your business growing book's path, ensuring your book includes what your audience expects as well as what they're looking for, but not finding. It's about making the writing process more efficient, enjoyable, and most importantly, successful. Whether you're embarking on your first writing adventure or are a seasoned author looking for a more structured approach, this book is your compass. Let's travel together and bring your ideas to life. All You Need Is the Right Roadmap, available now on Amazon. Hello, and welcome back to the Author Switch podcast. My name is Carma Spence, and I help executive coaches, business leaders, and consultants write, market, and publish client attracting books so that they can grow their business. In the first half of the podcast, I talked about what AI addiction was and the various signs that you might notice in yourself should you be going down that path. So, this half, I want to talk about first of all, I want to share a self assessment, a series of questions that you can ask yourself to see, are you getting addicted to AI? And then I'm going to give you some practical tips for how to Create boundaries and prevent yourself from going down that slippery slope. So, first, how often do you turn to AI? If it feels like a first draft catch or a go to for every challenge you experience, this could signal an addiction. So, here's a quick self assessment. Question number one: how often do you use AI for brainstorming or idea generation? You can answer this never, occasionally, often, or always. Frequent reliance on AI for idea generation could indicate that your creativity may be suffering due to AI overuse. Question number two: do you feel confident starting a new draft without using AI prompts or structure? You can answer very confident, somewhat confident, not confident at all. If you struggle to start drafts without the assistance of AI, you may have a dependency issue, especially if you feel lost without the tool. Question number three: when you review AI generated content, how much do you typically edit or change? A lot? Some? Very little? Not at all. Minimal editing could mean you have an over reliance on AI. This set it and forget it approach can dilute your brand voice. Question number four: do you use AI to help with storytelling or crafting personal anecdotes? You can answer never, sometimes, often, or always. Using AI for storytelling, a deeply personal aspect of writing, may signal a loss of connection with your own experiences and voice. Question number five: do you find yourself turning to AI for quick fixes when faced with writer's block or a glitch in your author switch? Answer yes, every time, sometimes, rarely, or never. Using AI as a go to for overcoming writer's block can prevent authors from building the skills needed to work through creative challenges independently. And the last question: do you ever feel frustrated or blocked if you don't have access to AI tools? Answer yes, frequently, occasionally, rarely, not at all. A strong need for AI access could reflect an emerging dependency where creativity feels stalled without it. So, how'd you do? Are you feeling like, uh-oh, I might need some help? Or are you doing okay? Believe me, I've been there. This is part of the reason why I'm doing this episode, is because not that long ago, I saw myself going down that road and I realized, hold up, people come to me because of my writing ability, because of my ability to teach writing and how to write and all those things. And I'm giving it up to a computer? What the heck? Who am I? And so I nipped it. I nipped it in the bud. That doesn't mean I don't use AI tools. They are very handy and they can also make quick, non critical thinking tasks faster. In fact, I incorporate AI prompts into a lot of the work I do with my clients because they help them do things that they don't need their brain for faster. That's how I use AI. That's how I recommend that you use AI. So let's say you didn't do so well on that self assessment and you need help. Well, I've got your back. Here are some ways to combat AI addiction. The first thing, and this is something I did, and that was set boundaries. How will you use AI for specific tasks? It can be idea refinement or fact checking or any of those things. Just don't use it for complete creation. Always make sure that you are the driver of your creativity. Next tip is to create a no AI day. You know how like they recommend take a social media fast where you go a day or a week without any social media? Well, that tactic works just as well with generative AI. Have a day where all you do with your writing is without AI. I do that. I do that a lot because I like to write. I've been a writer since I was 4. I love it. But it's a good idea to set those boundaries. And if you find yourself like clinging to AI, clinging to it, then Taking a fast might be a good idea. Maybe you want to do it more than one day in a row. Another tip is to use AI as a last resort. Start your writing session first by attacking your work manually, the way you used to do before AI ever was here, and only use AI if truly necessary. So, for example, when I worked on my last book, I would get to a point where, like, okay, I've gone into thesaurus.com, I found 5 words, but I'm not sure which one. And so, while I would ask Chat, well, actually, usually I first ask my husband. If he couldn't figure it out, then I'd ask Chat. So it's like I had several layers before I resorted to AI to help me with something. I go, okay, here's my sentence. Here are my possible words. Which one best means this thing I mean it to mean? That's one way to use AI. Next one is an accountability check. A peer or a mentor to have your back and check in with you. Make sure you're not sliding back into your AI ways. And of course, focus on building your writing stamina. Write longer and longer periods of time without AI. Wean yourself off of that AI teat. Wean yourself off. Now, all that said, I'm not saying never use AI again. And you know you. I mean, if you are an addicted personality and it's like a drink of alcohol to an alcoholic, and if you use AI once, you'll use it forever. You know, then maybe you need to walk away and never come back. But if you're more like me, where you just found yourself walking that direction and then you pulled yourself back, you can still use AI to benefit your writing. And here are some benefits that you can use AI for that are less addictive. So, one is enhanced efficiency. Use AI for just quick fixes like grammar checks or fact verification. I mean, Word itself has an AI feature in it. It tells you when you've spelled a word wrong. I love that because I have dyslexia and I misspell things all the time and I don't see it because I see what I meant to say, not what's actually there. So that particular AI tool and Grammarly and Hemingway help me. And in fact, I love the Hemingway app now. I'm starting to really use it because all it really does, I don't have the paid version where AI will rewrite it. So I have to rewrite it. But it tells me this sentence is way too long. Fix it. So I fix it. Karma fixes it. AI doesn't. Now, if I paid for it, then AI could do it, then that might be a problem. But the free version forces you to fix it yourself without the help of AI, which is very nice. Next one, inspiration without replacement. AI can serve as a powerful brainstorming buddy. It can spark new ideas without replacing your unique perspective. In fact, I've used it a lot for this. It has, like, flourished my creativity, and it'll give me an idea, and then I run with it without AI. I'm totally like that. I mean, I'm like, AI will give me an idea, then suddenly out comes my big pad of paper, and I'm scribbling lines. AI isn't involved in that at all. All it did is gave me the seed, and I ran with it, and I grew a plant. So, AI is really good at giving you seeds that you personally can grow into a plant. Next is consistency in voice and tone. AI can help maintain the consistency when used sparingly, refining but not taking over your voice. So, for example, I needed to write something when I was very emotional. And I couldn't pull the words together. I had the ideas, but nothing was flowing well because I was into an heightened emotional state. So, I basically plopped the paragraph into chat and I said, "Can you make this, like, coherent?" And it did. And I read it, and I made a few more edits because, of course, it delved and took things to new heights, but was still my idea, my writing. In fact, it used some of my sentences verbatim, so it was still my content, but now it sounded more or less like what it should be rather than like the scribblings of a child. So, there you go. When you take a look at AI suggestions, you can actually develop your skill through reflection because you're going to take their suggestions and you're going to analyze them through the filter of your brain. And that way you can learn trends, you can learn preferences, but you don't lose your creative touch. And AI is great at analyzing data. You don't need to be doing that stuff. All you have to do is like gather the data, plop it into AI and say, "Hey, can you just sum this up for me?" And it does great. In fact, I've done that to help me research my next book, The Author Switch. I would upload a journal article and I'd say, okay, I want to know what the key ideas are, the key definitions are. And just basically, I had a prompt that told chat what I wanted. And then I collected all that information and I'm reading that information. I don't use that information to quote in my book. No, if I like what the key point is and I know I want to use it, then I can go into the journal and find the direct quotes. I'm not using AI content. What I did was I used AI to give me the highlights so I know whether I want to do a deep dive or not. And finally, AI can free you to focus on higher level strategy. If AI is handling your minor tasks like data analysis and maybe writing a few captions for your social media posts, and then you just have to delete all those darn emojis because no matter how many times I tell it, don't use emojis, guess what it does? It uses emojis. Urgh, and it dives when I tell it not to, and it delves when I tell it not to. So I always have to edit it, but at least doing my social media captions used to take me days. It now takes me hours. And then there's AI infused tools like Descript, which is video editing, which I will admit it's a little bit of a learning curve. If you've been using like iMovies and more traditional video editing, it took me a little while to learn, but once I learned it, it's awesome. And it uses AI. How does it do it? You upload your video, it transcribes it for you. Then you can just go through, you can edit that using the text rather than the visuals, which makes editing happen so much faster. So editing this podcast right now, the old way would have taken me 2 days. 2 days. Now it takes me maybe about 3 hours because I'm getting fancier. I'm getting fancier now, so it takes me a little bit, but still 3 hours is better than 2 days. So, I mean, AI is not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing. It just needs to be used responsibly. So, how do you use AI responsibly, wisely? When you're an entrepreneurial author, you can do these 5 things. 1, define AI's role in your process. Set clear boundaries for where AI fits, whether it's for editing, idea refinement, or organization rather than ideation. Or if you're going to use it to help you with ideation, do what I do. It gives you the seed and you grow the plant. It gives you the seed, like the kernel of the idea, and then you run with it and throw in your little sparkly Eunice dust on it and pixie dust stuff. Yeah, that's it. You sprinkle your magical pixie dust on that seed and it grows into a fantastic plant for your business. You want to set personal authenticity goals. This is sort of a twist idea. Aim for a set percentage of personal versus AI content in every project to maintain your authenticity. So, for example, I'm working on a program called Around Your Book in 28 Days, and it's going to help you go from idea to a completed outline in 28 days. And I'm using as my motif Around the World in 80 Days. So, the program comes with your very own AI infused valet, Jean Passabot, modeled after Jean Passepartout from Jules Verne's original novel. And I'm having so much fun creating him. I have used Canva's new image AI feature to come up with like 100 different images of the same guy, part robot, part human, Jean Passabot. I was able to find someone with a French accent to create my own AI voice using Descript. So now I have a male French accent voice speaking English, but slightly robotically. That's the way it just ended up. And it's perfect because Jean Passabot is not human. He is a Android. So I'm having a lot of fun using AI to enhance the fun factor in this program that I'm creating. And I'm also providing AI prompts and probably one or multiple custom chat GPTs to help you do certain steps. But there are some days where an AI prompt isn't going to help you. You need to do the legwork yourself. But I'm making it fun. I'm gamifying. I'm using AI to help me do this for you so that you have fun writing your book. Therefore, there's a lot of me in this. There is a lot. It's mostly me. But AI is making it like super me on steroids. Maybe that's too much. Oh no. Hopefully it's not. Anyway, you might refine but don't rely on AI. Use AI generated content as a baseline or rough draft that you personalize with specific anecdotes, insights, and industry expertise. So you might go, okay, chat, I want to write an article that has these 3 points. Give me a first draft. Then you go in and you layer your stories. It's kind of like using PLR. If you're familiar with private label rights content, same thing. Same thing. You take the draft that they give you and you personalize it, layering in who you are and what's unique and special about you into the content. And basically, what AI or PLR is doing is giving you a rough first draft that gives you, okay, this is kind of researched and we know we need to cover this stuff. Go to it. You can preserve personal stories. AI can't replicate lived experience. You can tell it things, but it's gonna make up stuff and make up stories and say things that you didn't do. Well, don't use that stuff. Use your stories in your own voice. Always layer that into the rough drafts the AI gives you. And basically, you wanna make your stories and examples deeply personal, not just AI generated fluff. And finally, avoid AI jargon. And I know I've talked about this before, earlier in this episode, is that AI has its catchphrases. It does. It dives, it delves, it takes things to new heights. It's not this, it's that. You know, those are things that it does because it's learned to do it that way. Well, okay, sometimes you might use those words and those phrases, but not as heavily as it does. So take them out. You can also sometimes give AI a list of things that says, don't use these. And it'll, like, not use 90% of them. It'll still use it's like, I don't know how many times I've told it, "Please don't use emojis." And it just, like, adds more. It just adds more. Like, "Okay, mm, that's not what I wanted." So, you have to edit things very well. So, AI is like a hammer. A hammer can build a house, or it can bludgeon someone in the head. It all depends on how you use it. Well, AI is like a hammer. It can be used to make your life easier. It can enhance your creativity. It can free up some time so that you can do more of the deep thinking that people want from you, or it can take over your life. Don't let it take over your life. Use the tools and tips that I shared today to overcome any shred of AI addiction you may be experiencing. This is Carma Spence saying, ciao for now. Thank you for tuning in to this episode of the Author Switch podcast. If you enjoyed today's show and want to support its mission, here's how to help. First, give this video a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell so you never miss an update. Your engagement helps my channel grow and reach more aspiring and established authors. Your ratings and reviews are invaluable. They help me reach more listeners and continue delivering top-notch content. To catch up on past episodes, including those no longer available on podcast platforms, visit authorswitch.com/episodes. There, you can choose to watch or listen to your favorite episodes at your convenience. If you'd like to show additional support, consider dropping a tip in the tip jar at buymeacoffee.com/Carma Spence. Your contributions help keep the podcast running and are greatly appreciated. Thank you for being a part of the Author Switch community. Until next time, keep writing.